What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OGGM. It is the 23rd day of December. It's the night before Christmas. It's about 8:30 in the morning here at Site B, 64 degrees and sunny on this Friday morning as the Christmas excitement begins. Well, at least I know Steve is excited because he's playing with all the leftover wrapping paper. It's time to take a look at all the tabletop role-playing game news stories we might have missed during the week because we are so obsessed with what's going on with Wizards of the Coast. And thankfully, once again, there's very little. All the other game companies are either shut down for the holidays or just avoiding the Wizards of the Coast nonsense. And as the plethora of confusing content continues to come out of the Wizards of the Coast court side, more and more of us are just going, you know what, we're just going to ignore you. We're just going to continue to invite people to come play. We're going to continue to just be kind and gentle and just say, you know what, give the OSR a try. You know what, give Castles and Crusades a try. You know what, let's play another game. If you're that concerned about what's going on with Wizards of the Coast in 6th edition, and yes, they have now referred to it as 6th edition, you know what, maybe just take a break from Dungeons & Dragons and try something else. There's plenty of other games. And if you don't want to try another role-playing game, but you feel the 5th edition nonsense is really becoming too difficult to deal with, let's play some board games. You know what, or let's just go outside and go for a walk and just talk. Because a lot of people are becoming extremely obsessed and wound up over this, which after everything is said and done amounts to pretty much nothing. Now, if you are still concerned in regards to what Wizards of the Coast can or cannot do once this new OGL goes into the books in 2023, assuming it does. Remember, they're considering it. And what they're considering may change between today and whenever this thing goes to print. So really, until we actually read it, anything we guesstimate of what they might actually mean or do or say come 2023 is sort of a moot point. There's no reason to become upset about this quite yet until we actually see the finished product. That said, I understand a lot of people are concerned, and a lot of people are on both sides of the fence, are raising their hackles and tossing out threats and biting their teeth in frustration and fear and saying things and insulting people and harassing people. And really, again, there's no reason to do this. If you are truly concerned about OGL 1.1 and what Wizards of the Coast can or cannot do after 2023 in regards to the D20 OGL engine, and you don't believe or understand the things that I'm saying and other people smarter than me like Grim Jim and DM Bloodworth are saying, I have provided you with a link to the U.S. Office of Copyright and the U.S. Library of Congress down below. So instead of listening to me and 100 other talking heads, just go and read it. It's free. Access to the Office of Copyright is free. Access to the Library of Congress is free. Access to the U.S. Constitution to be able to read it is free. Access to a law library is free. Access to the Writers Guild of America is free. If you are concerned, truly concerned about this threat that Wizards of the Coast has implied in regards to OneD&D/6e, I can only say the same thing so many times. But other people smarter than me can say it better. So there's the links down below. Also, let me remind everybody, once again, as all this nonsense continues, Wizards of the Coast does not own Dungeons and Dragons. Wizards of the Coast does not own Hasbro. At the end of the day, Wizards of the Coast has no say in what will or will not happen in 2023 in regards to the Dungeons & Dragons IP, because Hasbro, the international billion-dollar toy company, owns Wizards of the Coast. Hasbro, the billion-dollar international toy company, owns Dungeons & Dragons. Hasbro has the final say in what will or will not happen in 2023 and going forwards in regards to the Dungeons and Dragons IP. So there's really no reason to be afraid of what Wizards of the Coast will or will not do, because at the end of the day, there's nothing Wizards of the Coast can or cannot do. They have no legs to stand on. Any legal precedents in regards to their actions will be started by Hasbro, not Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast is a figurehead. It's a production company. They have really no say in the legalness of what will or will not happen with the Dungeons and Dragons IP. I know a lot of people want to believe otherwise. I know a lot of people want to just cling to the golden savior that is Wizards of the Coast, or rattle their sabers in anger at Wizards of the Coast and either praise Wizards of the Coast or blame Wizards of the Coast. But again, Wizards of the Coast at the end of the day is pointless. It is Hasbro that decides finally what will or will not happen with the Dungeons and Dragons IP. In regards to the OGL 1.1 or whatever it is that comes out in 2023 and going forward, again, there's very little that can actually be done in regards to you making content for Dungeons and Dragons, because despite whatever fear-mongering Wizards of the Coast is trying to project, whether intentionally or unintentionally, again, the law regarding copyright and fair use is plain and simple and is on public domain, and Wizards of the Coast cannot supersede U.S. law. If they try, they will only continue to get themselves in more and more trouble. In fact, there are rumors circulating already that there are several lawsuits being considered against them, including one regarding discrimination against disabled people, which I don't know what there's about. And finally, as a Hasbro shareholder, I am often given hints to what Hasbro has planned. So this may mean nothing, but for 2027, on the books, Hasbro has something coming out called Dungeons and Dragons 6X. Don't know anything about this. Right now it's just rumors, but it is listed on the books. It is listed in the calendar, and it is listed as projects for 2027, Dungeons and Dragons 6X. Not Dungeons and Dragons 6E, because that's coming out in 2024. But in 2027, there are rumblings that Hasbro will be producing something called Dungeons & Dragons 6X. Now, that might be a video game, but it's on the books. But it's rumor. It's hyperbole. Doesn't mean anything until they actually say something. And if we've learned anything by now, anything Wizards of the Coast says or Hasbro says in regards to the future or present fate of Dungeons & Dragons should just be taken with a grain of salt, because it will change tomorrow. So hopefully I have clarified and alleviated some of your concern. But again, if you do not feel I am the best individual to relay this information to you, if you do not feel the words that are coming out of my mouth are factual, if you are still concerned about the fate of your beloved D20, OGL, OSR, D&D product line, I urge you to, instead of being upset or angry or fighting with me or whatever, or posting ridiculously threatening videos, look it up. The links are down below. The information is free. Okay, so that's pretty much it for tabletop role-playing game news in regards to the night before Christmas. There thankfully is nothing else going on in the industry of note, because the rest of the industry is taking a couple days off for Christmas and contemplating what they're going to do come next year, and Q4 and Q1 and award seasons and the productions that they have to, put out in 2023. So for the rest of the gaming world, 2022 is done. We really have nothing left to talk about. The final Kickstarters are going into production. The final products for the end of the year are going in production. We're gearing up for con season in the spring and summer. But the rest of the gaming world is kind of going, dude, it's Christmas. We're just going to enjoy some time with our family and not deal with this nonsense for a couple days. Is that all right? But Wizards of the Coast never rests. It has this desperate need to keep us obsessed with it. So I am pretty sure that before the day is over, we will see at least one, if not more, posts from Wizards of the Coast in regards to what's going on with Dungeons & Dragons. And more posts on the internet and on Twitter and on YouTube and on whatever from people both afraid of and attacking and for and against and blah, 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 something, OSR, something, Wizards of the Coast. But for the rest of us, it's the night before Christmas. So let's just watch my cat try and steal all my pins, because suddenly, for some reason, Steve is obsessed with stealing these from me. So he's running around the house and he's already stolen like 4 of these, and I don't know why. But it's funny, so that's it. In regards to a certain YouTuber who continues to harass me, I am aware of it. I am still considering my options in regard to this individual. So if this individual is watching this video at this point in time, I am aware that you are continuing to harass me in your videos, sir. And I'm going to ask you again to please cease and desist. I have tried to avoid conflict with you for a while now, and I want to continue to this. But if you continue to harass me in your videos, I will consult the appropriate individuals. That's it. Have a great day. Happy holidays. We'll be back with our regular scheduled nonsense later today and tomorrow with some more lazy Saturday dungeon building, and need to get back to that whole deep dive into villains and vigilantes. So hopefully for the rest of the day we can avoid talking about Wizards of the Coast. If you have any questions, comments, insight, things you want to see me change in 2023, let me know down below. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, please subscribe to the OGGM Adventures and help me hit 1 billion subs by the end of 2023. I mean, I know I can't, but if we're going to have a goal, it might as well be a ridiculously high one, right? And, this is my job. So if you want to support me, there are several ways you can do it. You can do super thanks, because this is a monetized video. You can donate to me through the various methods that are listed down below. But the best way to support the OGGM Adventures in 2023 is to buy my amazing merch from Big Geek Emporium and Redbubble. Links down below. I will talk to you later.